Hi, so today we're going to be creating a quick studio setup that you can use to light your models. So here we have a model I created and a chrome sphere, which we will show you how that will look in the render. So to begin with, we create a plane. You can do that through the poly modeling tab, or you can just go to create polygon primitives plane. Scale this up, make sure the subdivisions go to 1 and 1. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, now I'm going to rotate this in the x-axis by 90 degrees, go into the side view and line this up however I want. Can be any size you want as long as your model fits inside the studio. So once that's done, we go to edge, select this edge, Control E to extrude and extend this out. Okay, we can still alter it, make it longer or shorter. Then with this selected, I just press Control B to bevel, change this fraction to 0.2 and the segments to 6, but of course this can be anything you want. You can make it like this, or there's no need to go beyond 6 segments, as if I turn on the wireframe it will just add them but no difference is actually made, so there's no need for those extra polys. Okay. So now, if we render this, nothing is shown because we don't have any lights. So let's add some lights. You can add lights through Create Lights, or I prefer to go to the Arnold tab, and then this is the area light. We'll scale this up, rotate this by -90 degrees in the x-axis, and just make it a bit bigger and increase the length so that it can cover the area well. And of course these things can be changed afterwards. So the most important thing at this point is to make sure that in the light you turn off normalize, because if I render it now, as you can see, nothing is seen. But if you turn off normalized, you can see your light is starting to show up very nicely. So next I'm going to increase this exposure to 1 as it seems quite dark. That's a bit better. For the time being you ignore the noise, as that will be fixed after lighting has been finished. So we'll add another area light. Rotate this by -90 in the rotate y-axis. Move this along. To make it more accurate we can use the orthographic views. Make it taller. Okay. Make sure we turn off normalize as well, as it is selected by default. Now we'll just press Control D to duplicate this and rotate this in 90 degrees instead of -90. Again, go into the side view or front view to kind of line that up nicely. Okay, now I'm going to, let's see how that looks actually. Okay, so let's increase the exposure to 2. And see how that looks. That may possibly be too strong, but it's good to experiment, as it also depends on the size of your model. I think that looks okay for the time being. So as you can see, it's floating, so we need to move this, which we can do in the side view, to make sure it's lined up quite nicely. Okay. That's looking better. So now we can change the colors of these. We can change the color of the background, of the lights. So for example, let's make this light have a yellowish tone, or maybe let's go for pink if you want a sort of cyberpunky feel to it, let's say. It doesn't have to be too intense. So this is what the pink will look like. Oh, also we can apply this film gate to it to line up our render shot nicely. As you can see, that's looking very nice. We can even make it a little bit darker, but again, it's completely up to you. And I'll make this one have a blue tint to it. Again, not too dark, doesn't have to be too powerful. It's just nice to have something that is not completely bright white light. Okay. Again, because of the pink, it's not that obvious, but we can just darken it. That's looking quite nice. And I can even change the background to a yellow or orange colour. See how that looks. Okay, that's looking quite nice. As you can see, it gives your models a bit of character, and it's not just a boring grey render. And as you can see here, you can see the lights in the reflection. That may be a bit too blue, so let's just make that a bit lighter actually. Yes, and the reflections are very nice as well. To get rid of this noise, the lights themselves actually have samples that you can increase. So let's go ahead and increase the lights to 3, the samples in the lights to 3. Okay, so that's making the shadows a bit softer. Now of course you also have to go into your render settings under the Arnold Renderer tab and increase, let's say I'll increase the camera to 5, diffuse to 3, regular 3, and these can stay at 1. Of course, increasing samples means increasing the render times, but it's not by a big amount. And that's that render done. Obviously, you can increase the samples even further to get rid of even more, but for the time being, I think that's actually very nice. And let's compare this to just a Skydome, so let's hide these. And let's just do what is very easy to do, which is create a Skydome, and let's just render. See how this looks. So yeah, there we go. That's what it looks like when you render it with a Skydome. Yes, it's very nicely lit because, you know, it's supposed to simulate kind of natural skylight, but the reflections don't look as nice. It's nice when you see, obviously this is personal preference, but it's nice when you see the lights. There's not much depth to it, there's not much colour, it looks quite flat and boring. Compared to if you render it with some lovely lights with different colours. Of course you can change the colours of the lights so they can be warm, it can be orange and blue, you know, reds and all that stuff. It all depends on what kind of look you're going for.